Here in Coldwater, Michigan, you can do something you cannot do anywhere in Indiana. You can find a dispensary, you can buy marijuana, and you can use it recreationally. We're here today to figure out how it's going as Indiana's lawmakers consider doing something similar.
Kirk, you can smell a little bit of smoke. It's not that bad because it is rising up, but this will be smoldering all day long. And I want to show you, give you a sense of scale of how big this fire is now that the sun is coming up. I'm about 6 foot 2 inches tall. This rubble pile behind me, the remnants of that cotton warehouse, the rubble pile there is probably 15 feet tall. The flames there going above my head at this point. That's how large this fire is, probably several hundred feet long and 75 feet to 80 feet thick. Now, this fire has been keeping firefighters busy all day long. They're battling the blaze right now, trying to keep it from spreading. But if I could take a shot from our eye in the sky, Air 15 right now, to give you an even better perspective, you can see just how big this is. You'll see the flames shooting up from the rubble below. Something we should note about that rubble, it is metal. This was a metal warehouse that collapsed on the flames here, on the cotton bales. The cotton bales underneath are burning. The metal is shielding the cotton bales from the water that firefighters are putting on top of it. And what that's doing is making it take longer to put these fires out. Meanwhile, back here on the ground now, I'm right below a fire truck. There are a number of firefighters in a bucket right above, watching the scene, trying to make sure things don't get out of hand, and periodically they will put water on these flames. At one point tonight, there were 80 firefighters battling this blaze. They had to step back because it was getting to be too unsafe for them to stay inside the building. So they've taken a defensive perimeter around it. They're going to watch the fire and let itself burn out as the morning progresses, guys.
So at this point, Brian, are they they're just going to wait for it? I mean, they're not even really trying to put it out, are they?
Yeah, there's nothing they can do. They literally have to let these cotton bales burn out because they can't go in now. The building has collapsed, and it was too dangerous for them to go in earlier. To give you a sense of what it looked like inside this building when it was still standing, Kurt, there were racks and racks and racks of hay bales. Those hay bales started to fall over. Those hay bales were 500 pounds each. Firefighters couldn't take the chance of going in. They literally had to pull out and just watch this thing burn to the ground. It's all they could do. This is Volvo Rents. It's a construction rental company. And you can see the cleanup is going on right now. This was a complete building just yesterday, and now it is nothing but rubble. Let's see if we can take a shot from Air 15 hovering right above us right now to get the full scope of the damage that's here. The roof literally blown off the top by the winds. Inside, the inventory falling off the shelves, damage strewn about like toys, really. And then come over here, if you could take Brett's shot here on the ground. Look at this masonry. This was the exterior wall blown over and cracked like so much a Lego set. It is amazing what Mother Nature can do, and now this shop is in the midst of a cleanup. Let's see if Roger's around here. I don't see Roger, but we'll get someone else. Just a second here. This is the owner. You're in the middle of a big cleanup right now. Walk me through what happened.
Well, I wasn't here, but basically there were mechanics working in the shop, and we had a couple of people in the office. And, oh, here's Roger.
Here's Roger.
Roger, come here. Why don't you tell these guys what happened?
Roger's the manager. Roger was actually in here at the time this all happened. Roger, take me back to yesterday when the storm started to move through. What did you hear in here before it all went to heck?
Oh, I would say for about a half hour it was just raining really hard. And then it got worse and worse and worse. Then right when it started to calm down, everything kind of started moving the opposite direction. And I was standing in this doorway right here, and I had my wife and one of my other employees in here, and I saw the light fixtures start to shake and the roof swelled up. And I yelled at them to get in the office right away. And as soon as we shut the door, we heard 3 explosions, just boom, boom, boom. And that was it, man.
So quite frankly, you're all lucky to be alive.
We're darn lucky. As a matter of fact, as soon as we got in there, I counted to make sure all our people were there, and thank God Almighty, we're all okay. We can get through this.
Well, that is the important thing, and that was going to be my next question to you. I see your inventory kind of strewn about here like toys. Are you going to be able to salvage anything here?
Absolutely. We're open for business right now.
Yeah. And your town is going to need you because there's a lot of damage around here that we've been looking at all day. Thank you so much. We'll let you get back to your cleanup, Roger. Thank you very much, and good luck to you. And before we leave you guys, I just want to show you another example of the power of these winds that we saw. Look up here, Brett. Look up here right above. You see that black line there? That was the roof line, okay? You want to know where that roof is now? Come right on over here. This is the roof. blown right off the building and onto the side. But the unusual thing is the fire department that's right next door, not a scratch on that building. We're talking just a couple dozen yards. So the damage is extensive here, but right next door, you would never know anything happened. So that's going to be something that the weather folks will look at to try to determine exactly what happened here, what caused this extensive damage, guys.
Yeah, Brian, you were mentioning, they're so lucky to be alive. As far as we know, you look at all of the damage, and it's just amazing. But we're not hearing of any reports of serious injuries, and it's just shocking when you take a look at what the storm did to such, huge, you'd think structurally sound buildings.
Exactly. That's the miraculous thing, that no one got hurt. And I was talking to people, they were watching the weather coverage as this storm moved in. So they were able to drop what they were doing outside, get into shelter, and they tracked that storm just as we did all afternoon yesterday. So that just goes to show you, when severe weather moves in, to watch that coverage and be prepared to seek shelter, because if something like this happens and you're in the right place, you'll be okay. Guys.
Brian, a question for you. As you drive around Eloy, is this one area that was hit with this, or does it seem like there's damage everywhere?
It's sporadic around town, but if you drive down Main Street, which is actually right outside the front door here, this is Sunshine Boulevard, and you'll see damage at a number of buildings. You'll see brick facades that have just crumbled almost like a cake. And then there's also a couple of houses we know that have had roofs blown off. And then another interesting thing, the middle school here actually had to close today because they didn't have electricity. It wasn't so much the damage, and they did get some damage, but most of it was because the power was out, and they had to move several hundred children over to the high school so they could be fed, so they could stay indoors, and so they could at least get some learning done today. Certainly a learning experience for those children as they realize exactly what Mother Nature can do, guys. Can't help but get choked up when you talk to this family. You'll hear from them in a minute, but I want to show you what's happening now at 9. Firefighters cleaning up here. They just finished, they're putting the hoses away right now because they just finished dousing what remains of this house with water to make sure no more fires creep up. But look at this. This was a mobile home. It only took a few minutes for it to burn straight to the ground. Listen to what this family had to say. Truly horrific.
We couldn't get out we opened the hallway door and the flames came out and we couldn't see, and we went to the window and jumped out the window. And
This is Rebecca, and today she's lost everything but her life and her family.
all my furniture, my truck, my dogs died in there.
She couldn't even find her dogs in the thick smoke, which woke her up and sent her scrambling to get out.
And we broke his son's window and pulled his son out, and he's got cuts all over his head, and I lost everything.
Heartbreaking to hear, heartbreaking to see. This is all that's left of the manufactured home she was moving into after she fell behind on her mortgage payment and was evicted from her former house just days ago.
I had just moved all my furniture up on the carport and backed my truck up, and my whole world just went up in flames.
It took firefighters 6 minutes to arrive, but they had to run their hoses 1,000 feet to the nearest hydrant. This is unincorporated county land, and most neighborhoods do not have hydrants. Meanwhile, Rebecca, her boyfriend, and his 23-year-old son will have to find somewhere else to stay until they can find their third home in as many days and somehow find a way to move forward.
It happened so fast. I couldn't save my dogs.
Doesn't that just tear you up listening to that? You can see the aftermath. What this family has been through is just horrific to even imagine. And I want to show you this red car, which is out in the street away from the flames. That's how hot the fire was. The bumper there, the plastic on that car melted, and the neighboring home over here, the plastic skirting around the edge of it, completely melted off too. Firefighters had to take a defensive position to keep the flames from spreading throughout this neighborhood. Fortunately, they were able to do that. As far as this family goes, the Red Cross is here. They're finding them shelter, finding them the necessities they need so they can start picking up the pieces. But I have no idea how you could ever pick up the pieces from something like this, guys.